Now, you may want to save this boilerplate code right here so that anytime you do set up a brand new HTML file, you have this and this is your kind of starting place, okay? This is just the minimum necessary. There are many other boilerplate kind of templates you can find on the web, but at the bare minimum, you got to have this. So save it somewhere safe if you want to be able to copy and paste it whenever you're creating a new HTML file. Now, HTML is the content of a web page. If we go over to something like Google's homepage right here, you can see that there are form fields, there are text, images, this logo image right here, and so on. So HTML usually comes in the form of a few pieces of content. It's text, images, video, and audio. Okay, those are the main types of content that you will ever see in an HTML document. So remember, any web page that you've ever gone to, it's usually one of those four things. Now, when you write raw HTML into a document, it's basically just black text on a white background, just like this. So we get these colors and sizing and layout, kind of positioning these images and adding some color and fonts. You get all of that with CSS, okay? But just plain old HTML looks kind of boring, to be honest. It's just a lot of plain text on a white background like this. So let's go ahead and start by learning some typography. Okay, and then when we get to CSS, we'll learn how to style it and position it on the page. Okay, so we can start with a very common tag called the paragraph tag, and it looks like this. It's just got an opening paragraph tag like that, and then you can put some text inside. So this is a paragraph. And then you want to close it on the other end like that. We can add a period right here. So if I save my file, so Command S on a Mac, Control S on Windows, and we go over here and we refresh, you'll see, there you go. This is what a default paragraph tag looks like in HTML. Okay, so there's other forms of typography that HTML comes with. We can also do these heading tags, okay? So you can go like this and say H1, and then you can say this is a large heading. And then we want to close it on the other end just like that. And if I save my file, and then I go over here and I refresh, there you go. This is how HTML renders a large heading, okay? So you get this H1 tag for the main call out on the page. You usually reserve this for the title of the page or the main call to action on the web page. Now you get up to 6 different sizes by default. So you can do an H2. This is an H2. And you want to close it on the other end. So have that / there. Remember, your closing tags have these / inside of them. The opening tags do not. If I save that now and I go over here and refresh, there we got an H2. Now this goes all the way up to H6. So you can do H3, H4, H5. And here's just an H6 so you can see what that looks like. And if I save that, and we go over here and refresh, there you go. So these are some of your default typography tools in HTML, okay? So by and large, you'll be using these paragraph tags for any bodies of text. In Sublime Text, you can do this really cool trick. If I open up a paragraph tag right here, or even without it, you can just say the word lorem, so all L-O-R-E-M. And then hit your tab key, and Sublime Text will inject some Latin dummy text, okay? This is just placeholder text for us to use, and then we can put our paragraph tags just for best practice right there on either side, like that. And if I save this, and we go over here and refresh, now you can visualize what it would look like if you did have a full-on paragraph. Let's say you were designing a blog or something like that. Okay, so you have this cool trick. You just type out the word lorem and then hit your tab key, and it'll spit it all out for you in Sublime Text. Now, lorem ipsum text, this is what graphic designers tend to use as placeholder text when they want to visualize what a paragraph would look like. That's why we use lorem ipsum. You can Google about it to learn more. You'll notice that the HTML syntax is forgiving when it comes to your spacing in here, okay? The white space that you add in here in your text editor. For example, if I go up to the word lorem right here and I add some line breaks by hitting my Enter key, and then I save the file, and I go back over here and refresh, you'll see nothing changed And the reason why is because HTML will ignore that white space. It's forgiving in terms of the spacing that you do in here. So you can kind of lay this out and make it as visually readable as you want. And usually you don't want to go too crazy with this, but you could space it out. And if you save your file over here and refresh, you'll notice there are no changes on this side. Okay, so you can make it a little bit more visually appealing or easy for you and your coworkers to be able to look at the code and understand what's going on. There are best practices though. Notice how we are tabbing everything inside of these body tags inward one level, and Sublime gives you these nice helpful lines right here to see which level of tabbing or indentation that you're in. Okay, so there are some best practices. You wouldn't want to break out a paragraph like this and just leave some blank space here. Okay, you want to keep your HTML clean, and you can actually read on the internet about HTML formatting guidelines or HTML style guidelines. So if you look up HTML style guidelines, you can kind of go ahead and read Google's opinions on it as well as other websites in terms of how you should be tabbing and how you should be kind of spacing out all of your stuff. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, something else that's really interesting here is that you don't always need these paragraph tags. If I remove this right here, and I'm just going to clean this up, put it back the way it was. And if I remove the closing tag right here for this last paragraph and I save the file, then I go over here and refresh, you'll see nothing changed. That means this still works. But keep in mind, this is not considered technically valid. If you're going to have a paragraph of text right here, you're going to want to put them inside of these paragraph tags like this. Okay, but any loose text that's not inside of tags, HTML is forgiving about that, and we'll usually consider it just some blank text, okay, some body text, if you will. Now you may be wondering, well, how do I create extra spaces within a paragraph? Let's say for some reason I wanted to do that. Well, you can add these special entities, okay, and you do it like this. Inside of your HTML, like right here next to this word lorem, I can do this ampersand, so that's the and symbol right there, and then NBSP and a semicolon, and you'll notice Sublime Text recognizes this syntax right here. Now watch what happens. If I save my file and I go over here and refresh, you'll notice if you look very closely, there's an extra space right here now. Okay, so we can actually stack as many of these as we want or place them throughout our text. Okay, if I save this and I go over here and refresh, you'll see it adds more non-breaking spaces. That's what those are right there. Now these are called HTML entities. If you go into Google and you search for HTML entities, you'll find there's a great website that I recommend to a lot of my students. It's w3schools.com. Now this website used to get some heat back in the day, totally up to standards, but it's improved quite a bit, so you can use it. It's w3schools.com, and you'll see it's a great reference page for all kinds of things related to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And you can see a list in their website of all of these entities that you can do. So you can create the less than character, the ampersand character, using this code, right? So we could copy this and drop it in right here. And if I save that, then I go over here and refresh, there we got an ampersand character. Okay, so there are some special characters you can inject using these HTML entities. Okay, you could also just use your keyboard to inject an ampersand like that. But typically you'll see in terms of best practices, a lot of times developers will use the actual entities to do that. And finally, you may be wondering, how do you create additional line breaks, right? So we can do that using the BR tag. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this ampersand right here. And right here, we could just add a BR tag. Now, these are self-closing tags. So I don't need a separate BR tag like this. I just do one of them right there. And if I save this and refresh over here, you'll see now I got an additional line break right there. And if I want even more line breaks, I can copy and paste. And we can place these all throughout our code. We can even put them inside of paragraph tags like that. And we can break things out. You can see I've added some line breaks here, and I also added one right here. And that's why it's broken this out into another line over here. Okay, so that's how you do that, and these are self-closing tags. Now, with these self-closing tags, a lot of times you'll see they have a trailing /. This is optional, but it's just to kind of, as a best practice, show that, hey, we recognize these are self-closing tags. So you add the / at the